I'm Matt.
And I'm Nate.
And this is Not Quite Religious, a podcast where a Christian pastor and former evangelical turned atheist have conversations about faith, religion, philosophy, and life while drinking coffee.
Welcome to episode 59, which is coming out a week before Christmas and during Hunukka. Yeah, the 15th. I think that begins... It's coming out during Hunukka. I don't know if it's near Kwanzaa, but happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Nate.
We're going to do a quick Christmas episode.
Sure.
Cue the do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Coffee's Sumatra.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've moved on to seltzer.
Nate's moved on to seltzer. But
I offered Matt rum. He declined. It isn't, to be fair, it is not noon here.
Yeah.
But it is somewhere.
I don't drink rum before 11 p.m.
It's 11 p.m. somewhere.
I'm a vodka guy, which I've heard people have judgment about.
Really? It depends if it's like Tito's or above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the judgment I hear is like it's basic. Like it's a basic booze.
I mean, isn't most booze basic? It's either basic or it's so pretentious.
Yeah. Right. Or like somebody has a cocktail that they like, they won't even say the booze. They're like, oh, I drink Manhattans or whatever.
Yeah. Negroni. Negroni is my go-to if I'm getting fancy.
Oh, yeah. I guess there are fancy liquors too, just straight.
Well, Negroni is it's a mixed drink, but...
Oh, okay.
It's Campari something and something.
Yeah, this is proving my point. I guess, but I'm like, I don't want to be basic. I want to be like a guy that can hold his hard liquor. And vodka's pretty hard. I
was going to say Indiana Jones, right? In where she's going toe to toe with the Russian guy, taking shots, and he passes out. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't think vodka's basic. I think if you're going basic, you're going with Appletini and Coors Light.
Thank you. I
mean, if you're going but vodka has its if you're going pop off, you're an alcoholic.
Right. No, I drink Tito's.
Yeah, Tito's is good.
So it's not the upper echelon, but I can't afford the very best vodka. So Tito's is my jam. Yeah, that's what I drink.
It's a decent vodka,
and I don't think it's basic. I mean, if anything, it's super masculine. Yeah, right. What do you think of when you think of vodka? You think of Russia. You think anybody can just live in Russia?
You think you can
the
take
frozen
Russia
tundra?
I know. That's why they've never been conquered.
Have you read their authors? This is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
And so I argue vodka is not for the faint of heart either. Yeah. So screw you guys.
Yeah.
This isn't about coffee. This is about vodka now.
So we had some vodka. We don't have it anymore because our neighbor, when they moved, gave us all their booze. I don't know if I said that on recording or if we said that. If we did, I'm sorry, I'm redundant. But we ended up just buying flavored seltzer. Mm-hmm. And instead of buying Truly or something like that, we had Stop and Shop brand flavored seltzer and would add a shot of vodka, and it was delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
So 11:30 somewhere.
11:30 somewhere. Merry Christmas, Happy Advent, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah. There's a difference, right, liturgically between Advent and Christmas. Christmas doesn't actually begin. I mean, in the secular world, we're well into the Christmas season at this point.
Right.
It's after Thanksgiving.
But Christmas begins on Christmas Day and goes till January 6th.
Liturgically, Christmas is, that's correct.
Yeah.
So we're not even in Advent yet, actually, liturgically, not till Sunday.
Okay.
By the time this recording comes out, though, we'll definitely be in the...
We'll be in week 3.
Yeah, we'll be well into Advent.
You'll be lighting your third candle. Whoa.
Correct. So Advent's Advent, you actually do this weird thing where you combine the first coming and the second coming of Christ, and you get into this place of anticipation. So you're anticipating the second coming by thinking about the first coming.
Yeah. So
the first couple weeks in Advent, the lectionary has you preaching on actually the second coming, which is what I'm preaching on this Sunday. And then as you get closer to Christmas, you get It's like you go backwards almost. It's like Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
Whereas Christmas is then the celebration of the of new birth, of a new world,
the fulfillment of the promises, and the
right.
beginning of the
right. So the new world on this side of Jesus is correlates with the new world on this side of his second coming. You know,
Matt's
so
holding
like,
up his hands for.
yeah. I'm holding up my hands. So they're like first coming, second coming related. Yeah. But I love Advent. It's my favorite. It's my favorite season. But I love it for spiritual reasons.
Yeah.
And I know that. Well, last year we talked about you being a
So
big fan
done
of
with-
Christmas, but
I was so done with it last year.
oh,
Remember? So for those, I still had my company. I mean, I still do have my company, but I was like in it, and I delivered food to this 95-year-old who ended up not being able to afford it. And was crying, and her sister had just died. And then we went to a Christmas Eve caroling at a child who used to go to preschool with Sebastian, and she had terminal cancer, and they were evangelical, so there was some praying for healing and miracles, and she died, unfortunately, shortly thereafter. But I'm like watching all these Christians. I'm watching this little girl who is vibrant and beautiful and happy, and was playing with my son, to this like withered, hairless, emaciated, like had to be held by their parents, and people are praying. I was just kind of like, dude, F this. Like the suffering of this 90-something-year-old woman who's lost all her friends, just wanted duck. I bought a duck for her. She didn't realize how much it was, and she's like, I don't have that money.
yeah.
And so I gave her the duck, and she ended up crying in my shoulders, and I like ended up being her pastor for half an hour while Sebastian and my, for lack of a better word, father-in-law were waiting in my van. And then, to turn around and go to sing to this girl, I'm going to tear up. I was just like, fuck God. And so I think it was like the final culmination of my deconversion, maybe, because Christmas before I was a Christian, Christmas was always fun because you're 7 and Santa.
Yeah.
And then when I became a Christian, Advent became this really meaningful, like from the darkness to the light. I also struggled with depression. I was usually deep into depression around Halloween, which is really the first time you can notice the dark is taking over the,
Right.
Like in early September, you're like, oh, it's a little bit darker, but by Halloween, you're like, oh man, like it's dark and cold and a little spooky, and I get those stories. And then usually by Advent, I'd be coming out of my depression. So this like longing where every week you lit another candle and it got brighter and brighter. I really loved that. And then last year, when I stopped becoming a Christian, there was still this romantic longing. Partially it's probably because of the memories and whatever, but there was still this like romanticism around Advent, and I was still mourning my loss of faith, I kind of even hate to frame it in a negative. I was mourning leaving one social group for another, and wishing I sometimes didn't see what I saw and didn't believe what I believed, because Christmas music is beautiful. And then last year I was so done. And this year I like put on Christmas music the other day and like put on Pentatonics Christmas. So it's not even like they get into it. And so they're singing, O come Emmanuel, and Mary, did you know? And I know my evangelical friends, if you're listening, she knew, she didn't. Go screw yourselves, because it's a really pretty song. And just okay, she might have, if you believe the Bible, known that Jesus was God, but she didn't understand that he was going to walk on water or heal the... Like, she didn't get the specifics of his ministry, and I doubt could even have comprehended as a 14-year-old what it means to give birth to the great I am. The song still has, like... Right? So I'm, like, listening to these songs, and I'm not tearing up, but I'm, like, letting them move me emotionally, because it is a beautiful idea. Which, to go back to some of these atheist Christians, like... What they're getting is, like, it's a beautiful idea to have longing and to be pushing for a better world and to have something step in and say, I am going to take that upon myself so that you can, right? Like, that's right. Beautiful. So I'm going to tear up again. So this year I've been listening to Christmas music, and it doesn't have the emotional impact that it did when I was a Christian, and it doesn't have the emotional impact it did for the first 5 years when I left the faith. And I don't know if last year was my final breakup with God, right? Like when you break up with, I don't know if like sometimes when you break up with someone, and this didn't happen with my divorce, I was pretty over it pretty quickly. But like my girlfriend in college, Amy, like I loved her. I wanted to get married to her. I was also a mess. And she left me, and I like always had this hole in my heart, and she came back to visit a few times, and I was just like, I got to win her back. But I like kept our pictures, and I would still listen to like our song, right? And then eventually I got over it, and I don't have her pictures anymore. And like when I listen to Ben Harper, I don't think about Amy. I think about I do. I'm glad she introduced me to Ben Harper. It's pretty right, but there isn't this like, oh, I need her, right? So there's the breakup initially, and then there's the final breakup. Like, I think in the modern terms, it's like when you finally delete all the texts.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, this is done. And then you can appreciate the stuff that you had in that relationship in a different way. That might have been what happened last Christmas, is I finally deleted the texts. Yeah. Yeah. I threw away the pictures and, was able to mourn and get angry and be done. And now I'm like, yeah, Christmas is cool.
Yeah. That's beautiful, Nate. It makes me think that sometimes I think, and more so since we started this podcast, that that I essentially deconverted as well, but in a very different way.
Yeah, I mean, you did. You're not an evangelical,
right?
That is a deconversion,
right,
of a sort. Like not in the way that
yeah,
the people would use it, but
yeah. And our stories are very different, and our personalities are different, and so it makes sense that the way we're gonna do things is different. But when you talk about the beautiful idea, I think we agree on the beauty of the idea.
Yeah.
And I think I think the difference is that I'm holding out hope that it's concrete.
Yeah. Right. Where I'm like, it's like Narnia. And it's like Narnia because Lewis based Narnia on it. Right. But I'm like, Narnia is a nice story. It I tear up when Aslan dies. I tear up when he comes back. I'm not living my life by...
I guess the question for me is like, what if I lived like it was?
Yeah.
What if I lived like this beautiful idea of a man stepping in shows us what transcendence really is. Shows us what God, and I put them in quotations.
Yeah.
Like what God is really like. But the problem that I have with liberal Christianity is that it leaves no room for people to hope that maybe it's real. Like, will come right, like disclaim from the beginning. Now we know this is just a myth.
Right.
And I think the whole point, if you're going to be at church at all, the whole point is to hope that it's not.
Right. Yeah.
Not to try to convince everybody that...
Right. I think it's a beautiful lie. I don't go to church.
Right.
For that reason.
Right.
If I believed it was real, or hoped it was, I would surround myself with people who had the same hope and celebrate that, like, we're going to do this thing.
And I guess the other side is people who are like, they're not, they're like, no, it's true. And it's true in every way that we've ever thought truth was true. It's true rationally, it's true empirically, it's true... Historically, it's... So, therefore, I have to prove that there's only XY chromosomes.
Yeah.
Because it has to be true in the way that logic is true, the way that data is true, the way that...
Right. Although, ironically, they would say that logic is also not true.
Right, yeah, it's not the ultimate.
Right.
Well, then it barely matters.
Well, I mean, your rational mind is fallen, so you can't trust it. Well, you can
How did you arrive at that? Anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, Well, you can trust is the word of God. Right?
So, in some ways, I don't think that we're so different.
We both have awesome beards.
Except that this is my perception. I hope it doesn't sound mean because I don't mean it. I don't mean it to be mean to either me or you.
Okay.
But it might sound that way. It might sound condescending. I'm okay with naivete. I think it can be virtuous. I think constantly, I think that skepticism is an abyss. So I pick how far down I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I've just picked up some naivete from you. I'm like, Christmas music's great.
I don't mind people coming along and saying, you really believe all this? Like, what's the worst that you can say about me that makes me naive? Well, who cares? Yeah. You're going to die, I'm going to die. You die a skeptic, I die naive. It doesn't... And maybe your skepticism leads you to the kind of activism that we were talking about before. But maybe for someone in my wiring, it's the naivete that leads to the skepticism, the audacity to believe that the world could be a better place.
Yeah.
Like, I'm provided that audacity by my faith.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying that that's the way everybody needs to be motivated.
Right.
But
yeah,
it does me.
Yeah, I mean, the atheist can very much become the stranger in Camus.
Right.
I don't know. Let's go shoot myself in the head at the
end.
Sorry if...
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, so naivete or skeptic, you can wind up at the same place on both sides of the scale.
Right. And...
So maybe worldview doesn't matter and we should just not have this podcast anymore.
There's part of me that thought worldview never really did matter.
Yeah.
And I think that's why this podcast works. Because we talk about worldviews, but we don't try to persuade each other.
Yeah, I mean, I do think worldview matters. In some places, geographically and theologically, than others. Uh-huh. Right? Like, I'm not traveling to Saudi Arabia anytime soon. Right? Because I'm very vocal about not believing in God, and it doesn't work out well in Saudi Arabia because of their worldview.
It wouldn't work out well for me in Saudi Arabia either.
No, they have a large Christian population, which I didn't know until I thought maybe God wanted me to be a missionary to Saudi Arabia.
Is it a persecuted population?
Mm-mm. You just can't proselytize.
Yeah,
but I mean, you can proselytize your children and your family, but yeah, it's actually quite large.
What you learn something.
Yeah, I
every
think
day.
I think at this point the Saudi. I'm gonna get into geopolitics. They're just like, we have oil and money. Like, let's just do that. In Mecca, and everyone's gonna come here, so we get their tourist money too.
Yeah, it's the. Never mind. Yeah.
Anyway,
but Christmas for me. I mean, obviously not a Jesus is the reason for the season guy. I mean, I do believe that, but I'm not. You know what I mean? Like,
you're not protesting because Starbucks has red cups.
Right.
That don't. Yeah.
Right. That's not my game. It means, but besides that, it means everything that it would mean to any Christian. And why is Advent my favorite? I think it's because I'm just grateful that the holy day of anticipation is placed in December. Brilliant choice. I don't think Jesus was born on December 25th.
I mean, neither do most evangelical Christian scholars.
But the church, which we now know as the Catholic Church, was like, it's dark in Europe. Let's say Jesus was born on the 25th, and we'll take the whole month, the darkest month of the year, to look forward to something.
Yeah. Let's co-op Saturnalia and Yule and all these things.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's
depressing and
it's
cold.
It's all about looking forward to something.
Yeah.
And where Lent is about mourning, And Easter's, to me, a little manic. Like, woohoo! Like, we're supposed to
Yeah.
manufacture joy that often...
Yeah.
Joy is a hard thing to manufacture.
Yeah.
But hoping and looking forward to things is, like, what we always do.
Yeah.
And so, that's what I love about Advent. That's why it's my favorite season. Even more so than Christmas. Christmas is kind of let down. Like, now what do I look forward to? Great, he's here. The cross.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a march from joy straight to like, oh, this is going to be painful.
Right.
So yeah, I can't say I found a new love for Christmas, but I'm listening to Christmas music and I'm not triggered. So
That's good.
yeah.
That's good.
Well, if you're celebrating Hanukkah, it's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Festival of lights, and it starts
Right.
off dark and gets brighter. Not that I'm going to get into the theology of Hanukkah, but we wish you some light in the dark season and something to hope for and something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
All right? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.